Hello and welcome. Today's video will cover pie charts and donut charts in Microsoft Excel. A pie chart is a circular graph that shows individual categories as slices or percentages of a whole. A donut chart is a variant of the pie chart with a hole in the center, and it displays categories as arcs rather than slices. Both make part-to-a-whole relationships easy to grasp at a glance. However, with a donut chart, you are free to add additional series as today's video will demonstrate. Please go to the Visual Data Worksheet and open the Pie Chart tab to follow along in this lesson. Okay, so here we are in our spreadsheet, and I have added some data for us to work with. What we'll be looking at today are the expenses for a small realtor company called Metro Realtors. We will use the data to create a pie as well as a donut chart. Now remember, when you are creating pie and donut charts, you always want to keep the series small if at all possible. Okay, so let's begin by looking at our total expenses. We want to create a pie chart that will give us the breakdown of percentages based on department. So let's go ahead and select column A2 and drag it down to A6. Let's hold our control key down. Let's go over to the total expense column. Let's select D2 and drag it all the way down to D6. Next, let's go up to the Insert tab. We want to go over to Recommended Charts. Let's go to All Charts, and let's go ahead and say Pie. Let's go ahead and select it and say OK. Alright, so now as you can see, we have our first pie chart. Let's go ahead and grab the plus sign and let's say Data Labels. Now as you can see, when I click the data label, it inserts the expense amount. I want to base this on percentages. So let's go back into our plus sign. Let's get the Data Labels menu, and this time let's select More Options. Okay, so I want to go ahead and remove the value, and I want to go ahead and click Percentages. Now my information is based on percentages. Let's go ahead and increase the size. Let's go to the Home tab, and let's just go ahead and increase our font. Let's take it up, and let's go ahead and make it bold. Okay, so this pie chart gives us a breakdown of percentages. As you can see, the overall expenses for purchasing is 29%, accounts payable is 12%, mail services is 27%, and training is 32%. Now, what if I wanted to break this out by individual expenses? A donut chart will be more beneficial in this case. Let's go ahead and create a donut chart, and we'll create one for the salaries, and then we'll also do a series for expenses. Okay, so let's start with our salaries. So let's go ahead and select departments. Let's drag it over to salaries, and let's go ahead and drag it all the way down to our category, and our expenses for salaries is covered. Okay, next let's go insert. Let's get the drop down for pie, and this time we're going to go ahead and select donut. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and resize it a bit. Now what I'm going to do next is go ahead and add my labels. Let's hit the plus sign. Let's go ahead and select Data Labels. I want to select More Options, and I want to base my data labels on percentages. So let's go ahead and select percentage. Let's deselect value. Okay, so next we're going to add a series to capture our expenses. Let's make sure our chart is selected. Let's go ahead and say Select Data. Let's go over and say Add. Let's hit the up arrow. Then let's go ahead and select the cell that says Expenses. Okay, let's get the down arrow. Now I want to get the up arrow next to Series Values. Next, let's go ahead and select and drag the expenses all the way down until we have all of our information covered. Let's go ahead and hit the down arrow again, and then let's go ahead and say OK. Let's say OK again. Okay, so this looks good. Next, I want to go ahead and add the labels for our second series. So let's go ahead and select the donut. Let's click the plus sign. Let's select labels. Let's go ahead and say more options. First, let's select percentages, and then let's go ahead and deselect values. Okay, and now that we have done that, I would like to go ahead and decrease the size of the hole in the center. So let's go ahead and select the entire donut. And you should get a series option that reads donut hole size. I want to go ahead and decrease the donut hole size. So let's go ahead and just drag it over to a 35. Okay, so now you have a series for your salary and you also have a series for expenses. What we need to do next is identify which is salary and which is expenses because a user wouldn't know just by looking at this donut. So let's go ahead and add a label that identifies each series. Okay, so I'm going to start by grabbing the 21% on the outer donut. I'm going to go to my plus sign and I'm going to say more options for labels. Now this time I'm going to go ahead and select series name. I'm going to leave percentage and show leader line selected. I want my separator to be a new line. And then I'm going to go ahead and click outside of it. I'm going to go ahead and grab the expenses and 21%. And I'm going to just move that outside of my chart so it stands out. Next, I'm going to grab the labels for the entire outer donut. I'm going to make it bold. And I'm going to just take it up to a 10.5. Okay, so this way it stands out. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same for my inner donut. I'm going to stay with my blue. I'm going to grab the 31% this time. I'm going to go over to my format data label. I'm going to select series name. I'm going to say that I would like it to be separated by a new line. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag this outside of the donut. So now you have the series for the expenses and the series for the salary clearly identified on your donut. Okay, so I'm just going to format the label for the salaries and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the lesson. Let's go ahead and select the salary labels. Okay, let's go ahead and take it up to a 10.5. Let's make it bold. Let's change the color to a blue. And then let's go ahead and click off the chart. All right. And with that being said, we're going to wrap up this lesson. I hope you found this information helpful. I will see you in the next video. Okay, so that wraps up this video. Job well done today. Be sure to save your work and then celebrate your accomplishments. Great job.